Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Danger Room. I'm Matt Price. I'm here with our panel, Chris Borthick and Anthony Brown, and we've got special guest Kade Poulson. We're here today to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp, the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe movie starring Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly. Following this partially takes place timeline-wise pre-Infinity War, but after the events of Civil War. So we pick up with Paul Rudd, his character under house arrest after the events of Civil War. I don't want to give we will go into spoilers, I'm sure, over the course of the film, but I want to go ahead and give people a heads up that if you haven't seen the movie, at some point, probably in the next couple of minutes here, we're going to get into spoiler territory, but I wanted to go ahead and start off without spoilers, just so you didn't just get them right off the bat. But that's the film we'll be discussing today over the next half hour or so. I'm going to throw it around and let everybody kind of give their initial thoughts, and then we'll kind of talk more in depth as we go from there. So why don't I go to my left here over to Anthony Brown and talk about some of your initial thoughts about the film, what you expected going in, and then kind of what happened.
I love the movie. I thought it was better than the first one, and that's saying a lot because the first one was great. It picked up where the last one left off in terms of pacing and feel and just being a good movie. It seems like with this next phase of Marvel superhero movies, they're going for more humor throughout, and so this was a very humorous movie. It was light where it needed to be and heavy where it needed to be, to the point where the main villain in the movie, the Ghost, or I guess kind of the co-main villain, the Ghost, like you felt for her in moments where, you know, when you saw what her affliction was. The cast was tremendous. Again, just tremendous casting. I love the movie. Marvel's making it really hard to keep a top five because every one of these projects that they're doing recently shakes up your top five.
All right, Kade, what were you expecting going in, and what were kind of your initial thoughts?
As far as Ant-Man has gone, even with the first movie, I didn't really have high expectations, but I thought the first movie was a lot more fun than I initially had any idea it would be, and I think that the second movie actually does better. I think it's a better movie overall. I think it's more fun. I think there's more humor in it. Some of it might be a little bit forced here and there, but the action's better. And I think that is largely due to Evangeline Lilly's character being more prevalent in it as the Wasp. She's definitely the more skilled fighter versus Scott Lang. He tries, but she's a lot better at it. And I just really enjoyed it. It kind of surprised me again. The first movie did, and the second movie more so. So I think, kind of like Anthony said a moment ago, Marvel's doing well with their world building. And, you know, this is a smaller character for them versus, you know, like Batman for the DC universe. And they make you want to go see these movies because of their world building. They want you to take the next step, see the next piece of the puzzle for this giant world, and I think that's definitely something that Marvel's got spot on.
Chris,
smaller character. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
We're probably all echoing each other a little bit here. I agree. I think it's probably the better of the two Ant-Man movies. Ant-Man was one of those, it was, of course, during the first time when we were all like, anytime they would announce a more obscure character, we would be like, oh boy, okay, let's see how you do. But I mean, Marvel just pulls it off. Their storytelling is fantastic. They have they must have their written formula out there that they just kind of know how to follow. And like Kade said, the world is just ever expanding. It's rich. There's always something new. I really liked the Ant-Man and the Wasp, you know, both first and second generations being in this movie. I thought that was really cool. I love the Goliath add-in. That was fantastic. I mean, it was really good. And that's not really spoilers because that's all from the trailers. So I really think it's a really good movie, and it just brings more and more of Marvel's history to the forefront by doing this. And it also has probably hands down my favorite Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, that was a good one. Let's see. this is just kind of a side note, but we can dig into some side notes. Sonny Birch, kind of the side villain, I actually was a Marvel Comics character. You guys may have known that. He was coming out, and I was like, is this somewhere they could have used like a Justin Hammer, but couldn't get the actor back or something? Right. And maybe that would have worked, but I actually realized after looking up here, Sonny Birch was an actual like Iron Man villain of sorts at some point.
He had some dealings with Scott Lang in the past. In his criminal past when he used to steal stuff. So I think that's where that snuck in there at, and it's just like, if you remember the Avengers Assemble cartoon, they did an Ant-Man episode where he was, where his criminal history kind of caught up with him and how he first got the suit, and I feel like this was kind of a play off that episode where it's just like, even though it's not his criminal history with Sonny Birch, that's what they used the character from was from his criminal history. So,
but yeah, I thought he was actually a pretty good character as far as like a slime ball. I mean, he did kind of remind me of Justin Hammer and Iron Man 2, and you're kind of like, oh, this guy's kind of a,
right.
But he was always kind of working his own angle. I like Scott Lang's ex-con team of security experts. Those guys are pretty great.
You kind of forgot about him because it had been so long.
Yeah.
I know that I did when the Russian guy showed up, or I think he's Russian, I'm not sure.
Right.
And then T.I. showed up, and it's just like, oh, yeah, they were in this movie. And like, they did their bits, and it was just like, yeah, it works. So,
I mean, he gives them an interesting supporting cast in a lot of different ways. I mean, the supporting cast just for the Ant-Man half of the movies, I mean, he's got those guys, you got Hope, you've got now the original Ant-Man and Wasp, and they brought in Bill Foster, so they've got a pretty deep bench of characters just in this world, which is interesting. So I liked that they had Bill Foster. I thought that was good. Bring in kind of a classic Marvel hero there as well. Right. So
I wish they would have done like a throwback scene where it showed him. Maybe with the...
I was hoping he would get giant.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wanted to see that with the hairy chest and the afro.
Yeah. I was hoping at some point he would get giant. Maybe that's if they do another one.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really the only thing that I wish that they would have done, because like in the Netflix stuff, whenever they mention previous stuff like they did with Luke Cage, with the Tiara, like I was like, if this was Netflix, they totally would have showed him grown and like, with the big afro and the giant G on his belt and everything else.
I would love to see, and maybe they would have to do this animated or something because of the age of the actors, but I would love to see like the adventures of Ant-Man, Wasp, Black Goliath in the 70s or whatever, however the timeline will work out now. Maybe be the 80s, I'm not sure, but
maybe if we're lucky, we'll see that in Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
they are going to flash back. So I mean, maybe.
That's true.
Maybe.
Because they're going back to the 90s in Captain Marvel, right? And I think somebody had said that the flashbacks for Ant-Man and Wasp with Hank Pym at the beginning of the movie was supposed to be set in the 80s, I believe.
Yeah. They mentioned it. He mentions it when he was telling the story.
Okay, yeah.
And they've managed to get that sort of de-aging CGI where it looks pretty good anymore.
Spot on.
They're doing
well, I think they made them look older than what they were, too, because Michelle Pfeiffer doesn't look that old.
Oh, they aged Michelle Pfeiffer up at the end.
So it's easy to de-age her as well. Yeah, I think you're right.
So, also, I mean, in the Wasp story, again, they borrowed that from a new Avengers comic book where, she got stuck in the pocket dimension when we thought that she had died in an Avengers comic book, but it turns out she was alive and just in that pocket dimension. And then when she came out, she actually had some issues controlling her stun blast or whatever because of the radiation she absorbed and everything else. So, that was a cool little trick that they did there as well. And I mean, I don't know how many of those little nuggets Marvel threw in there intentionally, or was it just like, hey, this is just kind of part of the story because she's been shrunk and has been down there for so long. So
yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I assume Peyton Reed is kind of a comics fan, so he's probably aware of.
Right. Well, that's more recent because that was the last story of the Bendis run on Avengers, where it's like, hey, this is kind of his finale. I want to say it was the finale to the new Avengers book. Maybe it was the regular Avengers book, but I know that was in one of the finales, and so
timeline-wise, it might be.
Yeah, I don't know if he's checking out. I mean, if the guy that's directing it was checking out the newer stuff, but obviously the classic stuff with Bill Foster. And if he would have showed up in Civil War, all the hardcore nerds would have been like, yeah, he's about to be fine.
talking about sort of the deep bench of actors, even the people playing these, I didn't mention the Step family.
Right.
Those are kind of big time actors
Yeah.
to have pretty small roles, and they bring a lot to it. And the daughter is good, and then the cop, Randall Park, is the cop that keeps trying to catch him. It's pretty hilarious.
Agent Wu is
That's fantastic.
He's great.
And I guess he's also from the comics, right?
Yeah, he is. He's a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's shown up in the Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. comic book, so he's been pretty prevalent there. Again, I just love what they're doing. Like, they're reaching and grabbing. And, like, I don't think anyone would be sad if he showed up on on this upcoming season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Even though he's just a member of the FBI. But, I mean, he was a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. And who knows how, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to run or how it's going to look. How they're going to replace Phil Coulson. But, I mean, if you slotted him into the Coulson spot and, he was there for the comic relief and other things and serious bits when necessary, like, that would be, fine with me.
All right. Funniest bits you guys liked the most comedic from a comedic point of view?
When the Russian guy was telling the story about the ghost, and I forget the name of the villain.
Baba Yaga or something?
Yeah, Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga. So he was telling the story about the Baba Yaga, and it's like, yeah, that's a pretty good bit.
Yeah.
So.
I really like the scene where they go to the school to try to
Oh my
retrieve
gosh,
the
that was
old
good.
suit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That was, I feel like, just the most genuine part because Scott Lang's suit keeps malfunctioning. And he gets big and he gets small, and basically he's the size of a very small child.
Yeah.
So he's stuck in the school. He's trying to figure out how he can get out. And they find a lost and found. He puts on an oversized hoodie, goes out into the hall. Teacher sees him, asks him for his hall pass, and he just runs away. And it's just a hilarious scene. That was definitely one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Sure.
What do you think, Chris?
The 60s were great, but I'm paying for it now.
Yeah.
I just died. I thought that was fantastic. There's so many funny bits. I laughed through most of this movie, which was really refreshing, and I think we needed that after Infinity, because Infinity was awesome, but Infinity was like,
It was very serious.
Not a lot. I mean, a couple of little lines that lightened it up, but
Yeah.
it was pretty hard
yeah, it was
the
like,
whole most of the way
yeah.
through.
The truth serum bit was
The Truth Serum was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Truth Serum was
When I love the other line I loved is, once you unstop that faucet, you got to let him go the whole way
Yeah.
for his bit. And
Yeah, that whole thing with Michael Pena where he's I'm trying to tell you where he's at emotionally.
Emotionally, that was great,
I don't
yeah.
mean emotionally.
And
I
you know
mean
this-
literally.
And that's probably really fun for the actors to film,
Yeah.
because they all get into
Yeah.
doing his bit, and it's so much fun.
Yeah,
to
little
watch.
flashbacks where
Yeah.
he's describing them doing stuff.
Hey man, let's be best friends.
Yeah. And then as far as the kind of a one line off thing, I liked at the end where he's like, "Are you inviting me to dinner?"
yeah.
Do you want to go to dinner? No.
I mean, I'll see you again, like when I arrest you.
It's so awkward. That was great.
So yeah. Anyway, it is a very funny movie. The Ant-Man movies are probably the funniest of the Marvel set. I mean, that's the way they decided to go with them. You got Paul Rudd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might as well play into that a little bit. I mean, he even brings the humor into the other when he's in the other movies, like in
Right.
Civil War. Those whole bits are some of the funniest parts of Civil War is when he's doing his thing. So
Well, I mean, he's been a part of some bad movies, but I think it's kind of impossible to not like Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's our generation's Kevin Bacon, where a couple of years from now it's going to be like 6 degrees of separation from Paul Rudd because
Right.
like he's
he's in a lot of stuff.
been in a lot of stuff, but also like he's just really likable. Like I don't know what it is, and I mean, even all the stuff that people say about him in Hollywood is like he's just a really likable, down to earth guy, and so it's just like good on him for being a part of this. I mean, even the team that they've assembled, like Evangeline Lilly, like people say that like she does incredible charitable work and things like that. So it's just like, man, this is a really really good group of people to put together in a movie, and like you can tell their chemistry. And I mean,
Yeah.
the Ant-Man and Wasp tension, like in their relationship, that whole thing works. The father-daughter dynamics work throughout the entire movie. The whole thing is this is kind of like Black Panther, at least with this second Ant-Man movie. When you go back and look at casting and things like that, how when you put a group of people together, it really, really takes off. So for me, I look at it kind of on that scale where this is more of an ensemble movie this go around as opposed to it being about a central figure. And I think that, DC is going to start rolling out Aquaman and some of their other movies here shortly. I think that they can learn a valuable lesson from Marvel and try not to put the entire burden on a central figure and try to make these more ensemble pieces, because a lot of their characters have supporting casts that you could utilize to help make the movie stronger. Not to get too far off topic, but I think that that's where Marvel has kind of found some of the magic in their stuff. Is it's just like, look, we've got an entire universe. Like, we have entire people's lifetimes of characters to draw on. And millions and millions of comics that have been produced. So let's go out here and grab a bunch of these characters, let's throw them in there, and let's build this thing up and make something to where, whether Robert Downey Jr. retires or Captain America dies or Thor gets eviscerated or Ragnarok comes or whatever happens, we can plug in other characters from our vast network of creations. Rest in peace, Steve Ditko, and make something magical for everyone for years to come. And I feel like they're building something that's sustainable, not something that's, well, once it's done, like, you can't really go anywhere from here.
Well, I mean, as big of stars as they have, and I mean, if let's say that Hemsworth and Evans and Downey Jr.'s contracts all in, and this is the last we see of them in the next Avengers movie, that would be a blow. But they also, I mean, they would still have Guardians of the Galaxy. They still have some other Avengers. I think you could probably, I mean, that would be, I guess, would be the question: could you do another Avengers without those guys and have it still be as big? But they've definitely built up a world of a lot of characters, and definitely the comics have had other people be the main Avengers from time to time. So,
well, I think that, for the actors, they probably aren't going to turn down these Disney checks, especially because now that people see what they've done for their careers. I mean, what was Robert Downey Jr. before Iron Man? Like, he
needed the comeback. He needed the comeback.
I mean, he was the butt of jokes and everything else, and not to make light of, his personal demons and things like that, but, like, he was nowhere, and now, like, in candid interviews, he's like, yeah, man, this turned everything around for me. So I mean, and even what he does for sick kids and everything else.
Well, and Hemsworth, it's funny. I saw a late night bit with him. I think he was talking to Jimmy Fallon, and he's talking about how when he first got offered Thor, he was like, "No, I don't know. I really want to do serious stuff. This is great." And he's like, "I was an idiot. This is so much fun, And so I think you probably got him for as long as you. I
think Thor has become more like his personality as the movies have gone on.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the contract status of any of them are. I know Evans kind of wanted out at one point. I know that from what I understand, the publicity demands of doing stuff like this is kind of a lot for a guy like him, who kind of prefers to kind of do the work and then not kind of be in the constant publicity machine of it. But it could also be a deal for, like, look, we want you to be Captain America, but it's one big movie and 3 cameos. Whereas maybe you're not the main thrust of the movie. We just want you to show up to know that you exist in the world or whatever. He's so good as Cap. I mean, I would kind of hate to replace him just because he's so good in the role. But
well, I think he just wants to do other things because I mean, and he's come out with different movies.
He wants to direct.
So.
He said several times he wants to be a director and things like that. So I mean, by all means, I think that the thing that I had heard about the guy that directed Black Panther, it was just like, look, man, I can make one of these movies and then I can go make any project I want.
Yeah.
So,
right.
For those guys, it may just be, I mean, for Evans, it may just be, look, man, let me bank one of these and then I can fund 6 projects that I want to go make and then say, hey, I'll only do cameos from here on out, or I'll only do the big Avengers, or, I mean, it's been so long, but we kind of forget about Nick Fury and Samuel L. Jackson. He showed up in the post-credits of Avengers, spoiler alert. Yeah. And people were like, oh, yeah, we forgot that he was, so, I mean, if Chris Hemsworth pops up in the post-credits of something in another Captain America public service announcement or whatever, like, I'm sure people would take that, Yeah.
Well, I think that, once again, I think I touched on this earlier, but what Marvel has done so well is they've set this foundation. They've had so many movies, they've introduced these characters, that if these guys' contracts end, like the original Avengers, they've already established other characters that can come in and take over that people have already learned to love. You do have the Guardians. They're going to introduce even new characters later on. I heard that Phase 4 is going to be more female-centric. So that does make you wonder with this movie, with Ant-Man and the Wasp, you know, what's going to become of Janet Van Dyne, Hope Van Dyne, Ghost herself. I mean, by the end of the movie, she's kind of changed her perspective. So could she be a character that is recurring in future movies? Possibly. I know Kevin Feige says he's wanting to introduce characters we haven't seen yet. I think Kamala Khan. But they've established enough people now, you know, they could go ahead and take over for a future phase. And I think that's evident with how well Ant-Man and the Wasp will do in the first Ant-Man movie. You know, people still want to take that next step. They want to see this movie because it's a piece of this bigger universe. So now that they've got people's mindset thinking about that, about how it's all connecting, they can just kind of roll with it. They've already got it established.
I'd love to see them do some promotion, like promote Luke Cage and make him I mean, you know, I don't know how well Jessica Jones plays with her alcohol swigging and things like that on the Disney main screen. Like, she seems like she is kind of in her current character mode. She is more Netflix centric, but like if you promoted Daredevil and had him be an Avenger for a flick or two, or, you know, have him do some team ups with, I mean, I guess that's the thing about bad part about having a young Spider-Man. But, like, you know, I'm trying to think of where he could cross over neatly, or where these guys could be promoted neatly. But I'd love to see some of that. And even I know that, you know, you guys haven't listened to our Luke Cage season 2 podcast yet, but I guess that I would have loved for them to weave the Thanos story into the end of that, or something like that, where magical things start happening. But who knows? I've heard some tentative things online about how the Avengers movie is going to end, and how some people that we thought were dead may come back to life and things like that. So who knows? But I think that Marvel has done a great job. And again, when they get on to Phase 4, and at this point, I'm kind of lost track of the different phases. Yeah. They just keep rolling these things out. I want to see them, obviously, now with the Fox-Disney merger, introduce the X-Men or the Fantastic Four.
Sure.
Even if it's just a single character.
Anthony really means the Fantastic Four, everyone, just FYI.
I like both.
I mean the X-Men as well. But I mean, yeah, I'd love to see, because even in the individual comic books, like, you know, in a single issue, an issue may start where Iron Man's teaming up with Iceman to help save some people on a bridge just because Iceman was hanging out in the neighborhood. And it's just like, oh yeah, you know, we're back, or I'm back. And he has a throwaway line like that, and then he's gone. It's just like, oh, the X-Men are in these movies now.
Yeah.
I think one thing you could do contractually is, if you don't let people know kind of what these people's contracts are, and you think, oh, Chris Evans is done, if you can keep that secret, and then he shows up at the end of some movie to bail everybody out, then everybody loses their minds.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that could be like, yeah, take some time off, Chris, and then, you know, maybe they come back and like, hey, we have a spot where we'd like to have Captain America. Are you available? And just don't tell anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be a way to really get. I mean, that would be a way to get people's interest, I think. And that gives you some time to take some time off. You're not the main guy, but you have the option of showing up.
I think that people do find out a lot of those smaller details, you know, so quickly, and that sort of information leaks, their contracts, all that sort of stuff. And the other thing that is hard to avoid is the other movies that are on the upcoming slate. Yeah. So while these main characters died in Avengers Infinity War, you know there's going to be a sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming. You know there's going to be a sequel to Black Panther. Now, we assume the main character will be back in some fashion. It doesn't have to mean that, but more than likely, I think you know it means that. Yeah. So they're going to be brought back in some fashion, somehow. We don't know how. We'll leave that up to Avengers 4 to tell us how. But, you know they're coming back, so it's kind of like that death in itself doesn't quite mean as much because of it, but still, the movie Avengers Infinity War was great for what it did. But we'll see how they handle it in the next.
And I think they've done a pretty good job of keeping some of the surprises, like the spoiler for Avengers Infinity War, the Red Skull bit. I don't know that anybody knew that ahead of the movie. So there have been times when they've managed to kind of surprise people with stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Well, see, I avoid the trailers, so a lot of the stuff that was surprising is like I didn't know the whole Bill Foster Goliath gimmick
Was coming.
was coming, and I was just like, oh, this is really nice. This is really neat.
That's funny.
Um,
I think they also cast a different character for Red Skull.
They did.
Yeah,
There's a different actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the same guy. The guy who I forget his name.
Who also trivia has come out and said he wants to play Moon Knight if there's a Moon Knight project. So
I heard that
was
as
pretty
well.
cool.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's got to be a Netflix deal because like he's very not sketchy, but
Schizophrenic.
you need more time to develop that character.
Multiple
You need
personalities.
you need more time to deal with
It's
him.
maybe more adult, and kind of like Jessica Jones, you were saying, and you know, Luke Cage and Daredevil right now, and Punisher definitely more adult. So maybe Moon Knight would also be that way. Ghost Rider, Blade. That's what I'd like to see personally. Is kind of this dark street level Marvel superheroes. Ghost Rider, Blade. You know, them on the same team with Moon
Well, they
Knight.
have
That'd
those
be
rights
fun.
again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those rights did revert. I mean, that's why they got Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I would
Different
like to see them
Ghost
do
Rider,
more than that. I mean, well, they have others. They have plenty of Ghost Riders.
I think everyone was just like, look, man, these Nick Cage Ghost Rider, like you can have them, like please,
Right.
You Ghost Rider,
can
yes,
have 'em.
we don't want to claim this. Like, no, we didn't put those projects out.
Yeah, because I think for a while the rumor was that Norman Reedus might be Johnny Blaze, and I think that's because of his character on The Walking Dead, always having the motorcycle, and you know he's just kind of, you know, a tough guy, and so he would make a cool Johnny Blaze.
All right, well, so where does this stack up for you guys? It may be hard to say, but where is this in the top third, top 10%? Where does this fall for you in the Marvel films?
So what is this movie? 12, I think, 13.
I think maybe.
No, we didn't even do a top 10 because, when we did our top 10,
There's too many.
Black Panther hadn't come out yet, so
Yeah.
there's been 3 movies since then. So this is 13. I would say this is in the top third, top quartile.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know. I feel like we didn't talk enough about the Ghost as a villain. Like,
Oh yeah.
she was great. She was beautiful. I was just like, you're the most attractive villain I've ever seen. It's just like, let her win. Like, yes, help her out. She doesn't need to die.
Well, that was one thing I really liked about this movie was she was the villain,
Right.
But in the end, it was really more about how everyone getting helped and everyone getting the good ending than you see in the traditional superhero movie, which I thought was kind of a neat twist on the way to wrap the story.
I
Except
agree
the
with
bad
that.
guy.
Yeah,
Well,
I liked that she.
This is the
was
19th.
more. It was like she was more human. She wanted help.
Okay.
She was in pain. You know, that made her do things that she didn't want to do, and I think she was also kind of raised as a pawn for whatever sort of secret agency she was a part of. So a lot of psychological issues that she had to deal with that made her the way she was. But at the end of the day, it was kind of like Killmonger. They did really great with Killmonger and Black Panther. They made these more complex, more relatable villains that you can kind of see why
Right.
they're doing what
Same
they're
with
doing.
the Vulture. Like, I think
Yes.
one of the criticisms of Marvel earlier on were, well, the villains are a little thin.
weak. Yeah.
But the last few movies, they do seem to have a little more complexity to them.
Yes, I agree. I think they did a good job with Ghost. She was a great character, and you know, it was something in the comics. It was a man, wasn't
Right.
it? Ghost was first, I believe, a man.
He's always, he still is.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
Was it the dad? Was that who was the Ghost in the comics?
I know. I
He's
can't
changed
remember
identity.
exactly. It was an Iron Man villain.
Yeah, he was an Iron Man, but I mean, the Ghost has changed identities a couple of
A
times.
couple times.
But I mean, it works. Like it. I'd love for the Ghost to show up in a covert ops kind of deal because she had mentioned like, hey, she was doing the government's dirty work. I'd love for them to do a Secret Avengers, led by the Scarlet Spider or whatever. I mean, there in the couple of iterations of Secret Avengers, I in the original Secret Avengers book, not the Captain America Nova team, but the one that took place after that with Agent Venom and Hawkeye leading that group. I enjoyed those stories more than I did the first half, and then when they did the reboot with the son of the comic book Nick Fury leading the team, I really enjoyed that with How to Kill a Mockingbird and everything else. Like that was a really good story as well. I'd love to see them bring Mockingbird back as well. I know that they tried to get a pilot off the ground for her that didn't work, but I'm just like, that works as well. So I mean, there are enough covert ops characters out there where it's just like, let's do this.
All right, I guess we've probably done enough to get to final thoughts. Final thoughts? Anything you haven't mentioned yet?
If you haven't seen it, obviously go see it. It was a great movie. One of the best that Marvel's done. And I mean, again, I'm not going to say they're stacking more than successes on top of successes with these last 3 or 4 movies. I mean, these are all movies that I feel like, whether you're a fan of the genre or not, you can sit down and watch these movies and just enjoy them, and not because you hear people now say, well, I'm not really into the superhero stuff or whatever. But then people that I know who said that, when you heard people talk about Black Panther, they all sat down and watched Black Panther. It's just like, okay, I may need to give some of this stuff a try. And I feel like Ant-Man's another one of those movies where it's just like, look, man, if you just want a good, funny movie.
It's almost more of a comedy heist that they happen to shrink stuff in.
Exactly. Like, if you
is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids a superhero movie? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Where it's just like, look, man, if you just want to go have a good time at the movies, like, you can go watch Ant-Man.
Yeah. My verdict is that you should go see it. I thought it was a great movie. Very entertaining throughout. Very balanced. You had humor, you had action, you had good acting, you had great visuals. I thought it was a great movie. Definitely one of the funnier Marvel movies, and I think it's definitely well worth your time, and there are definitely implications that lead up to the next things they do. It's definitely good to kind of like relax a little bit after Avengers Infinity War, and this definitely lets you do that. It's not as stressful.
Yeah, agreed. It's a really good movie. It was really, really fun. It's always good to go to a movie and just laugh all the way through it and really relax and enjoy yourself. Definitely go see it. When you stay for the credits, however, do be prepared for the gut punch that is the Infinity tie-in. So that is a little rough, but it's still cool. It still makes you wonder what's going to happen next. It's just like any good comic book or serial that you're going to be like, now I have to watch the next thing to figure out what's going on. So, fantastic. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'd love to hear what you guys think as well. Feel free to shoot us an email at infinitedangerroom@gmail.com or tweet at us at DangerInfinite on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. We're Infinite Danger Room there. You can also leave us a rating or a review on iTunes. You can also listen to the show via SoundCloud or via newsok.com. For Chris Borthick, Kade Poulson, Anthony Brown, I am Matthew Price. Thank you for listening.